Luka Doncic and Slovenia took care of business against a Australia team that has a lot of NBA talent on the roster. The final score was 91-80, and it was the game that ended up qualifying Slovenia for the quarterfinals, which will be played in Manila, Philippines. And in this game, Doncic finished with a stat line of 20 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, with a steal and a block. And it was a performance that featured him being frequently blitzed in pick-and-roll coverage. He drew double teams in the post. So Australia was very aggressive with trying to get the ball out of Luka's hands, forcing his teammates to play, against a scrambling defense trying to recover and 4-on-3s, things of that nature. And Slovenia did a great job of countering that and did so well enough to achieve a victory. Luka and Slovenia came out of the gate fully alert on the opening tip. The ball ended up finding Luka immediately, and he finished an open layup, catching Australia by surprise. On this first half-court possession, Luka Doncic was blitzed in ball screen coverage after receiving a high ball screen, and Australia was aggressive, pre-rotating the low man in order to be in position to account for the short roller in case of a catch and attack. But the short roller, Mike Tobey, did a great job of reading the low man rotation and seeing that the weak side of the defense is now being handled with a defender responsible for guarding 2 with 1, and the corner is left unaccounted for on the catch, the most open player. So Tobey gets him the basketball, and this ends in a catch-and-shoot 3. With an aggressive defense trying to get the ball out of Doncic's hands, Slovenia did a good job of mixing in some opportunities for him to touch the ball in the post. And this was a smart decision here. They utilized Patty Mills' man, knowing that with Patty Mills being a smaller guard, Australia is not going to want to switch him onto Doncic. So using that cross screen, Doncic is going to be able to get into a position to make a post catch with Josh Green on him. He has a lot of spacing. Josh Giddey doesn't really offer much resistance and help one pass away. So Doncic has the space to operate to attack middle, and he draws a foul against Josh Green on the inside move. Slovenia looked to use Doncic off ball and with a cross screen to get him another post touch, but this time Australia was aggressive, sending a double team on the catch, and Doncic knew that if he stays patient and waits for his teammates to basically fill their spots, he's going to have an opportunity to have a relief option, and he gets the ball to the weak side corner, which then results in an extra pass to the wing, and the shot was a good look, but it rims out. Doncic was able to be utilized essentially as a decoy in some of Slovenia's previously used actions in other games. In this instance, they get into a delay zoom action, and Doncic draws a double team after receiving the handoff, and with the exchange coming earlier than in a traditional handoff against switching schemes, Doncic is able to drag out the double team wide, and he had previously punished the defense with passes over the top to the short roll, so they both left their feet, and he ended up being able to make a bounce pass around the on-ball defender, getting the ball to Tobey in the paint, who immediately found a shooter with the opening on the weak side, with the back end of the defense having to guard 2 with 1. Josh Giddey had a good recognition of where the ball was getting to on the X-out and made a tight contest. So the shot ended up being an air ball, but Tobey, with the defense having to recover overall, wasn't in a position to contain him on the offensive boards, and the ball sails right into his hands, and he gets the putback to convert. Doncic was hard doubled again on a ball screen play, but with the weak side wing spacing well off the 3-point line, and some like to call that the 4-point line, Doncic was able to get the ball to the short roll very easily, and there wasn't a defender in position to meet Tobey on the catch, so he ends up taking the jump shot. It's wide open, and he knocks it down, and he was on the 3-point line, so this was a long 2. Opposing teams have been comfortable doubling using Tobey's man, and Doncic has been trusting of getting the ball to him, and in this instance, this happens out of a post-up. Tobey gets the ball on the 3-point line after Doncic passes out of the post, and the shot is just offline. When a defense with talented defenders stays aggressive, there's going to be instances where they win a possession, and in this instance, Doncic tried to test the defense by throwing a bounce pass, splitting the two defenders on a double team to the short roll, and this ended up getting stolen. Australia did not relent in its aggressive defensive approach. Doncic began the play here off ball, and it eventually found its way to him in the post, and he got double teamed on the catch and tried to get rid of it, but he ended up getting called for a travel before doing so. This was one of the few plays where Australia was in a more neutral defensive approach. Doncic ended up receiving a ball screen that was dragged out pretty wide, and instead of receiving a double team, he ends up being able to get to his favorite spot on the left wing, with Josh Green attempting to recover after going over the screen. Doncic pulls up, fires over him, and knocks it down. With Doncic initiating the possession here and having two defenders on him in a full court pressure, there's clearly going to be someone open, and Doncic finds that open teammate very quickly, which results in an easy pull-up three that gets converted. With Slovenia continuing to utilize the short roller as a relief option against hard doubles in pick-and-roll situations, Australia sent the low man to pre-rotate to the paint to be able to solve for that, and Toby, out of the short roll, ends up not receiving the ball, unlike previous possessions, and Doncic attempted to throw a no-look pass to the corner, and they were not on the same page. Doncic sails the ball out of bounds, expecting the shooter to stay in a position to be ready to shoot, and instead there was a cut. Australia even maintained aggression with double teaming Doncic's teammates, even when Doncic was off ball and it was somebody else running a high pick and roll. And on this possession, they end up hitting the short roll, and this time the cut was on the same page. The low man rotates to the short roller, and the short roller finds a baseline cutter, and the result is an easy finish on a reverse layup. When countering a defense that's being very aggressive to take out a single star in a lineup without another star to help run the show, it's important for role players to make plays. Toby did a great job out of the post on an inbounds pass. He had a clean lane to attack going baseline. He does so against a smaller framed defender, plays through contact, gets the ball up, and it rolls in for an and one. Australia attempted to use a hedge and recover against Doncic in a quick ball screen, and with Toby slipping, the defense wasn't in a position to be able to have the big defender recover back, and the weak side low defender was Patty Mills, who is too small to be able to prevent a big guard like Doncic from being able to make the pass. But another factor to consider is that he's responsible for a sharpshooter who's spacing out in the corner, and he's not going to be able to make that necessary rotation, especially with the extra, timing and effort that would need to be applied, given his lack of size. And Joe Ingles in the other corner, he's in a similar predicament. He can't leave a shooter in the corner, especially from the strong side. Doncic makes him have to respect that possibility even more than Mills' situation by staring down the strong side corner and then throwing the no-look pass, which ends up resulting in an easy finish for Toby. There's not much to look at here. Doncic inbounds the ball with 3.7 seconds on the shot clock. He gets it back on a handoff, and he has only time to heave a shot, and it's offline. Here, Slovenia played out of a double drag Spain play where Doncic receives double drag screens, comes off wide, draws two, and he looks to try to pass open the roller by using a no-look pass by staring down the shooter who flared out to the three-point line. And Josh Giddey does a great job of recognizing the attempt here and stays attached to the roller, and the ball ends up being thrown right into his hands. This is a great example of adjusting from testing out the defense. They play out of a double drag Spain sequence again, And this time, Doncic draws two once again, but instead of throwing to the roller or to the back screener who, flares out to the 3-point line, Doncic throws it to the weak side corner, knowing that Josh Giddey is likely going to continue to account for the roll man and will have to make that long closeout. And the shooter catches the ball in the corner, gets by Giddey on the attack, and ends up finishing on the right side of the rim. Here, Slovenia plays out of the double drag screens again. They have a back screener to pull the defense out from the middle of the paint. And here, the Australia defense utilizes a late double by having Patty Mills come off of the player who was the back screener to get the ball to Doncic's hands. Doncic accepts this coverage, recognizes it easily, gets the ball to the wing. The ball ends up finding the weak side corner on the closeout attack and the spray out pass, and Australia handled this well. They contest the shot, and Slovenia misses. Slovenia had success offensively in key points of the game, whether Doncic was off the ball or off the court. And in this situation, Prepelic gets the ball with Australia trusting Xavier Cooks to guard him out in space. He ends up breaking him down off the dribble, getting to the rim and finishing. This was another possession where Prepelic took on responsibility in the action, and Doncic played off ball, didn't have to work hard, and Slovenia still scored. Prepelic ends up getting a handoff, getting fouled on the deny, and goes to the free throw line. Doncic was back to initiating the plays again and playing out of the primary actions. And here it's a double drag Spain sequence again. And Doncic draws two and drags out the two defenders very wide. And with his ability to stay comfortable operating against that type of pressure, he puts Josh Giddey on the strong side, help into a position to have to account for the roller and the corner. And Giddey had previously continued to account for the roller. Doncic knows this and is able to get a pass to the strong side corner pretty easily, and this is just a wide open shot, and he knocks it down. Slovenia continued to play out a double drag with a back screener to put pressure on the defense, and this time, instead of hard doubling off of the second screen, Australia just switched the screens and then sent a late double. Doncic gave the ball up to the strong side wing. The ball found the corner, and Josh Giddey ran out to contest the shot, and it ends up not falling. Here, this was another one of those late quarter plays in the clock where Doncic just gets into a shot to try to beat the buzzer, and the shot doesn't fall. Slovenia has utilized Luka Doncic in double wide pin down actions in their recent games, and in this instance, he does so again, and with a rescreen coming from Toby, he rejects it, draws both defenders as he has throughout the game, and now he has his pop threat open on the perimeter. He makes a late pass here, drawing not only the double, but he draws two help defenders. And now Patty Mills is the only defender left to account for Toby on the pop, and he uses a pass fake to create a wide open shot for himself to complete the play and knocks down the shot. This began as a solid possession defensively for Australia. Doncic drew two on a ball screen play again, and this time, even though Doncic was staring down the roller, Josh Giddey, who was responsible for the roller and the corner, made the right read, getting out on the shooter instead of being drawn to the roller, and makes a tight contest on the shot. But Australia doesn't end up containing Toby on the offensive boards, given that they have to utilize a small guard trying to box him out after the way the play developed. And in this instance, the ball finds its way to Doncic. He uses a shot fake on the catch to get Josh Green to fly by. And then now it's only Patty Mills and Doncic in the rim. That's an easy situation for Doncic just to slice through and finish. Slovenia had often faced situations where Australia started to switch screens and then send late doubles. And in this instance, Doncic knew this was coming. He ends up and drawing the late double. But with that being said, there's not going to be a help defender in position to pressure early on at the nail. So Doncic just gives the ball up to the wing, who attacks the middle of the floor, and he ends up drawing help from the dunker spot, but finishes through the contact, and Slovenia scores. Here, Australia doesn't send a double or hedge and ends up being in position to jump the pass when Doncic tries to split the two defenders with a bounce pass to the roller. There's still some room that can be improved for when Slovenia attacks those late doubles after a switch. Doncic, trusted his teammate, but there was a miscue here where the wing got the ball, attacked a closeout, and the corner on the strong side had cut into help, and there was a turnover. With Australia being aggressive with ball pressure, they put themselves at risk of fouling and sending Doncic to the free throw line. This happens with his Mavs teammate, Josh Green, who checks him with contact early. Doncic draws the foul call and goes to the line. Here, Australia switched everything, and Doncic ended up getting into a step-back three, as he likes to do against switches, and Australia just continues to struggle to contain the offensive boards. The big tips the ball to a teammate. The teammate contains the ball and ends up getting to the rim on the attack and finishes. Australia continued to switch initial actions and send late doubles to throw off Doncic's timing, and here he ends up just giving the ball up one pass away to the wing, gets it back, attacks downhill, draws help, and gets the ball to his shooter on the wing, but the shot just doesn't fall. Here, Australia initially stays in a pretty neutral approach. Matisse Thybulle ends up contesting a step-back three from Doncic. The initial shot doesn't fall, and Australia gave up an offensive rebound. This ended up resulting in another attempt from a step-back three for Slovenia, and they end up getting another offensive rebound, which results in Doncic getting the ball on the wing, attacking a closeout, and drawing a foul deep on the drive. This was another great approach by Slovenia against a late double. This time, Doncic gives the ball up to the wing. The ball finds the corner, and then there's a closeout attack, which results in drawing help and then finding the weak side corner wide open, and the shot just doesn't fall. Doncic continued to give the ball up early to get the ball back, with Australia loading up at the nail on him. And he ends up attacking downhill, turning the corner to draw help from the strong side, one pass away. But with Patty Mills having to help the helper here, Doncic throws a one-hand hook pass to spray it out to the weak side corner, and this shot goes up, but the miss is short. Here, Slovenia gets creative, utilizing two screeners to neutralize the ball pressure and force a switch. Doncic has a mismatch on the wing early in the possession, and as he's attacking the middle of the floor, he knows that there's going to be a late double coming, and he ends up getting contact and getting to the free throw line. Australia continued to switch ball screens, send a late double. Doncic continued to stay patient, giving the ball up one pass away to the wing and getting it back, and then making the defense have to work by continuing to make that late double rotation. And Slovenia ends up working the ball to the big, and then the big finds the weak side wing, who then knocks down a shot against the closeout. This was about as deflating of a sequence as it gets for Australia. Doncic makes a great read in the passing lane, gets a steal. They work the ball around against the late double. It finds Prepelic, who then brings up a screener from the dunker spot. And then as the switch develops, he pulls up from deep off the three-point line and just knocks down the shot. Australia was in a desperate mode late in the game, having to apply full court pressure and try to make plays on the ball. Josh Giddey manages to steal it from Doncic here and gets a layup on the other end. And then Slovenia ends up bringing the ball up on the next play, drawing that late double, as Australia has often done, and then they just worked the ball around to a shooter, and the shot just didn't fall. With Australia being out of rotation due to sending those late doubles early on and having to scramble to recover, Slovenia crashed from the weak side and ended up getting the offensive rebound to reset the possession. Doncic continued to do a good job of taking advantage of single coverage opportunities that just managed to develop within the flow of the game, like random sequences, such as this one. His teammate tips a ball out on an offensive rebound, and now he has Josh Giddey to attack on an island near half court. All he does is, turn to the outside to open space with Giddey trying to pressure the ball. He gets around him, protects the ball when Giddey tries to reach from behind, draws help from Josh Green, and watch what happens here. Watch Doncic's eyes. He has a situation where he knows with the low man rotated into the paint with it being Joe Ingles, he knows that Patty Mills now has to account for the whole back end by himself. He has to guard 2 with 1. And what Doncic does, as he tends to do, is he stares down the option to draw a commitment from that defender responsible for guarding 2 with 1, and then passes open his teammate. Here, Doncic stares down the wing and is able to get the ball to the corner. Australia decided that it had enough of getting torched by Slovenia in the 4-on-3 situations by blitzing the ball screens. So Doncic ended up having a single coverage opportunity after a switch, and he just gets into a step back deep off the line and knocks the shot down. The game is over at this point. Doncic, made a big shot, put Slovenia up big. The probability for Australia to come back was already very low, but that was the final dagger. The ball is then worked around to run the clock out on the next offensive possession. Doncic gets the ball against a closeout with around 5 seconds left on the clock. He uses a shot fake, draws a flyby. He attacks downhill and draws help. Doesn't make this one, but later on gets a rebound after some free throw attempts by Australia and ends up drawing a foul by Dante Exum trying to take a charge and gets to the line and takes 2 final free throw attempts. And, yeah, that's a wrap.